shows like The Burger Show kind of helped me develop my personality for the camera, and I'm grateful for that because without First We Feast, I don't think I would have ever done Next Level Chef.
Hey there, Omaha. Welcome into another episode of Restaurant Hoppen. I'm your host, Dan Hoppen, and my guest today has carved out a very unique footprint in the food world. After nearly 2 decades in restaurant kitchens, he's now a media producer and content creator for First We Feast, which is a food, drink, and pop culture website. He's a YouTube sensation. He just competed on Fox's most recent season of Next Level Chef. Christian Alquiza, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
How are you doing today, man?
I'm well. Baby's almost due, so just on alert.
Yes, you are about to have your third child. Like,
that's crazy to hear.
I know that your family is very, very important to you. Your kids are all over social media. You love cooking with them. Well, what does family mean to you, and how has that impacted how you approach food?
I mean, growing up in the restaurant. Oh, actually, no. No, let me take that back because I didn't grow up in the restaurant industry. In my young adulthood, my focus was to become a chef, have a restaurant, and, being family oriented. In my immediate family, it wasn't really something I saw that would be like, all right, cool. Well, you could have a family and have a full-on restaurant. And don't get me wrong, a lot of people can, but I think the balance is more so family focused for me now and less on opening a restaurant. So making sure I'm present and making sure I'm there for their growth, watching them struggle instead of just being there to discipline. I'm not their head chef, I'm their dad. And so that really inspires me to, when I do my pop-ups and all these culinary adventures, it's more so community vibe, family friendly. So that's really more so my focus.
Well, I think that's a really interesting point about how the term chef has evolved over the past 15, 20 years. And that, yeah, most people, 20 years ago, when you went to culinary school, your goal was to someday open a restaurant. And that is still the goal of a lot of people. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I love restaurants.
Same.
But now you can be a chef on social media. You can do pop-ups like you mentioned. You can be a personal chef. There are a lot of different avenues that allow you to have a little bit more work-life balance than just, I'm a restaurant chef. I'm working nights. I'm working weekends. This is an all-consuming job. I mean, I talked to some guy the other day who said a chef who has a couple restaurants, and he's just like, I love it, but I never get to see my kids. Like, I come home at night, and they're asleep every time. How have you how encouraging has it been for you to see the term chef kind of shift from just restaurants to kind of more of an all-encompassing term?
I mean, honestly, to some people, it's like you don't deserve the title if you don't have specific experiences. You didn't go to culinary school, or you didn't put in the reps. But to me, the chef word and title has grown, and I respect it. I accept it, and I want people to want to be chefs, but also they're scared of the salary of a chef. Some chefs make top tier, and then some chefs are struggling day to day, right? But it's really this time of our generation, right? We have to adapt, we have to pivot and problem solve, and that's the chef's number one skill, is to problem solve. A dish needs this, solve that problem. Someone called out, solve that problem. So that was instilled to me as a dad. When the kids have an issue, solve that problem. That's like the service industry embedded into a chef.
All right, let's talk a little bit about First We Feast, just in case somebody's watching this and they're like, what is that? So what is First We Feast, and what are you guys doing that you feel like is pushing the food culture forward?
First We Feast is this media company that honestly I am blessed to call family. They saw me as a culinary producer, and they're like, we want your face forefront. We want you to host your own show. But even just putting the hot wings and interview hot ones aside, They're a media company that shares an amazing message. Food is how do I say this? You know how we're doing a podcast. Food is the microphone. Food is a topic. Food is in the forefront. And so the name being First We Feast is very, how do you say, je ne sais quoi. It is what it's meant to do. And Chris, Sean, Sarah, everyone behind the First We Feast team really continues to push the boundaries for culinary, media, um, what else? You had that intro on point when you brought it up.
Well, thank you.
But yeah, yeah.
What I really liked about kind of where you were going there is, everybody knows Hot Ones. Hot Ones is that's the big part of the brand, but also the burger show, your show, Hot Kitchen. There are a bunch of different shows on the network, and it's interesting because food is kind of what brings, like, it's the content that the show is centered around, but the shows are not all about food. Like, yes, we're sitting here eating chicken wings, or we're cooking a burger, or we're making some really spicy food, but we're having a conversation about culture, about someone's background. The food is what's bringing people together, but we're not totally centered around food. Food is kind of the great connector in all your shows that kind of brings people in, but it's not necessarily just about the food, right?
All right. So first we feast. The food is in the forefront, and the food also connects the conversation because now we're talking about the guest, their history, their future. What are they working on now? What are they going to work on in the future? While watching them struggle with a little bit of heat. There's new shows on First We Feast like Slice Joint, where pizza is in the front. We have shows like Eat Seekers, where Esther Choi is doing like a 3-course menu and watching the guests struggle. And I do a lot of the social stuff now where I incorporate brands and make them spicy, or if it connects the whole spice world to either a specific brand like Knorr, BB Ghost, like Spam and all of that stuff. So First Week Feast has been a hub of media connection, and they just recently actually just released their first episode on Netflix as a kind of like a spin-off, which is Hot Ones Extra Heat, where they're not doing it in a studio and they're doing it in like a football field or out in the field. And so shows like The Burger Show kind of helped me develop my personality for the camera, and I'm grateful for that because without First We Feast, I don't think I would have ever done Next Level Chef.
We'll get to Next Level Chef in a second, but I want to get to know Christian a little bit better before we get there, because I found a quote from you. You said, "Cooking is an amalgamation of experiences and everywhere you've been." Considering that's the case, who is Christian? Like, what is your cooking point of view?
Yes, cooking, I mean, I stand by that. Cooking really is an amalgamation of your experience because my first dish, my first memory of cooking for people was a stuffed pork chop in home ec class in high school. And for me to make a stuffed pork chop now is completely different. I don't know if I can remake that or I want to because my experience shows my technique has changed. The taste palette has changed, and everything kind of just gathers into who you are now. In today's world, I am one which is crazy. I'm an amalgamation of a professional chef, a home chef for my family, pretty much my family's private chef. And I'm a social media chef. I'm a content creator who, avoids the word influencer, but happens to influence the people on restaurants, on recipes to make, on equipment to use. So I need to use my platform to educate and be a source of information for the people who follow me and continue to follow me. So I am your Filipino American chef that is going to eventually make it out and open up my own little cafe with my family of 5, or who knows. Well, but my goal is who I am now. Instead of chasing the chaos of the kitchen, I want peace in work, life, family, the mental health, of a chef who's been in there for nearly, like you said, 2 decades, which is crazy to hear out loud that I've been doing this for that long and will continue to do it. And I plan on doing it for as long as I can, because whatever I do in life, wherever my career is pinpointed, there will be food surrounding it. There will be restaurants. There will be conversation. There will be community, and I will be feeding the masses no matter what I wear, no matter where I am.
Wow, that was an awesome answer. I absolutely love that. There was one word in there that I want to focus on, and that's Filipino. I know Filipino cuisine is very, very important to you. What makes you so passionate about bringing Filipino cuisine more to the national consciousness?
So for me, the identity of being a Filipino American was is especially needs to be highlighted now that my half Filipino kids, I want them to embrace their culture, to know that you're not going to be made fun of at school for bringing adobo or bringing pancit. And this, the smell of fish wash is a normal smell, not just something that, when people say funky, it used to be described as like, oh, dude, that's nasty. Funky is a description that should be embraced and allowed into households to fume once it hits the pan. And once they open their lunchbox, it's like, oh, yeah, funk, umami's coming in. I want someone to be like, can I have some of your food versus like, yo, sit over there. To me, that's like the early stages of wanting to put it out there. But Filipino food, a lot of mainstream chefs now are calling it out and saying that it's the next best thing when really it's just been around. It's being modified. Filipino food in general is an amalgamation of a lot of countries and influence. You have Spain, you have Chinese, Korean, Indian. We are a melting pot. And I jokingly always say that Filipinos are like the mutts of the Asians because we absorbed all of the other stuff around us and we adapt to that. And that's continuing to do so. So when you see Filipino food now, and a lot of the criticism comes from other Filipinos, like, oh, that's not real this, that's not authentic this. Authentic to you is different authentic to me. We have different variations of pancit, different variations of adobo. So I think I want to showcase not just my Filipino roots, but everyone's Filipino roots and highlight it and not degrade it and be like, that's not as good as mine, or whoa, that's way better than my mom's. Like, my mom's is great. That's my memory of it. My dad's is amazing. It's my memory of it. But let's highlight everyone's cultures and everyone's Filipino roots and get the world to taste what was once tried. I mean, I don't know if this is allowed to be said, but there's a podcast or an interview with David Chang and Jonathan Gold, rest in peace. And David Chang tries to get Jonathan Gold to denounce Filipino food, and Jonathan was like, "Nah, it's great." And so it's like, oh, that rubbed me the wrong way for someone who be like, oh, why try to call out another culture and be like, oh, it's mid, when you could use your platform to be like, yo, like, let's maybe collab and do a fusion of it. Like, I love this part of the Philippines and this part of, my culture. Let's make something and not just call it fusion, but like combine it. I don't know if there's another word, if you know it, like there's
just a
what I
collaboration, really.
on my channel is Filipino inspired, but my experience and my techniques from another culture or another restaurant or another experience that I've either eaten at or worked at. And so doing things like I made and this wasn't even a Filipino one, I made a Thai dish inspired by an Italian technique. I made a cow soy with a risotto. And so those are the things that I want people to be like, we need to find the next peanut butter and jelly. We need to find the next things that match and enjoy it, run it, and make it the next best thing.
I love that. And I mean, there are going to be some combinations or some, things that you try that don't necessarily work. And then you say, okay, we're not mixing risotto and Filipino food anymore. But then there will be some that come together and they just work beautifully. And it's like, yes, that was worth the effort. And I mean, I hope that I get a chance to go to the Philippines someday. I would absolutely love that. the odds are I'm not going to. Like, I'm not going to get everywhere in the world. I'm not going to get to experience all these cuisines in their natural habitat. But it's people like you from different areas who are bringing that food, and getting to experience it is such a special thing. Like, I always feel this way with African food. I absolutely love African food. I've never been to Africa, have no plans in the immediate future to go there. But when I eat that food and I hear the chefs kind of talk about it and explain it, like, I almost feel like I'm getting a sense of their roots and their history and everything. And that's exactly how I felt when you were talking there. Like, when you're serving someone a Filipino dish, whether it's authentic or, what your mom or dad made versus, something that you kind of brought together yourself, you're expressing not only the history of this country, but yourself to someone as well.
No, 100%. 100%, because what Filipinos are known for is being hospitable. We're very genuine. We're the most welcoming people. We love community. We have this term kapwa, which is similar to like community. And I think, like I said, I immediately want people to be. It's like I'm a people pleaser, right? And I do that with food. I want people to be happy with what I put on. And going back to the beginning of that, it's like you can't please everybody, and you can't make it an absolute banger dish every single time. You have to learn to accept failure in order to have an amazing success. Like, you have to be able to. Well, this is some Buddhist thing where it's like you have to be able to enjoy a rainy day, or you have to be able to endure a storm in order to enjoy a sunny day, kind of vibe, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I make a dish that just doesn't hit, learn from it, like what did work, what didn't, and move on. Don't dwell on that and drag yourself down to be to not able to make that dish that you wanted to make. So putting the community, the Filipino, we're hospital, we have this term endearment where I don't know how if this is considered a joke or if it's like it's what's the word? It's don't cancel it for this type vibe. But like, we were the original people who didn't care about pronouns. Like, when we met someone in the Philippines, they go, "Hello, ma'am, sir," because you just automatically assume everyone is whatever gender. You're like, "Hello, ma'am, sir. We don't care. Just what can I do for you?" That was the running joke that we had. But it's not even a joke. That's just what we call people. Ma'am, sir, ma'am, sir. And Filipinos are either the stereotype we have is we're either nurses or real estate agent, or any of that term. Or there's a lot of us in a cruise ship, because everywhere you see a Filipino, it's usually where they're hospitality, and it's where we're taken care of. Theo Vaughn had said that we're like the nicest people, and if he ever died or he was in his deathbed, he wants his last thing to see was a Filipino taking care of him.
All right, that was beautiful. Let's talk a little bit about Next Level Chef. So for anyone who hasn't seen this, it's a show on Fox. Like I said, 5 seasons in now, hosted by Gordon Ramsay, also has Naisha Arrington and Richard Blaze as judges. And it's a very unique competition in that there are like 3 levels to this giant, I guess it's a giant kitchen, but there's like 3 different kitchens. And based on how well you perform the week before, you get to work in the super nice fancy kitchen with all the great equipment, the middle kitchen that's like, a nice home kitchen, or the basement where there's a bunch of stuff that is just broken and misshapen and everything like that. How did this show come on your radar, and what made you interested in being a part of it?
I mean, there's been opportunity. There's been opportunities to shows and cooking competitions, but I've always been in a restaurant, either as a chef, a sous chef, or on the line, and I didn't think there was an opportunity to like leave or afford. I couldn't afford to leave, but now I'm in this space where I'm freelancing. I'm doing social media. I can make my own schedule, and so when this opportunity came up to me, and I'm a huge fan of all Gordon Ramsay shows. Fox nails it when it comes to like cooking competitions or cooking shows in general, and they're very creative. They're all different. There's similar aspects of each show, but they're all different. And Next Level Chef, to me, reason why I said yes to this because kind of like the conversation we had earlier, like to fuse things, to think quick, be creative. The thought of having something for 30 seconds and then looking at it and be like, what can I make I wanted to challenge myself, and I feel like that was like a version of Chop, but way more intense. Like you have to run to your station. You're not given this basket of mystery ingredients, and you can only use what you grab. And so it's like those situations was like, all right, that's gonna like light something in my brain. It's gonna twitch something. It's gonna open something that I have never done in a while or ever. Like I practice at home because once I found out I was going to be on the show, I was like, all right, well, let me see what's in my fridge and let me try to make something in 30 minutes. It's not the same, there's not cameras. You're not competing against other amazing chefs. You're in the zone. And so I think doing this, knowing that there's three different levels, knowing that Gordon Ramsay's behind us, an icon, a legend, and Aisha Arrington, one of the baddest chefs of Los Angeles, and then Richard Blaze, an all-star with the most perfect hair, the most perfect pickleball skills.
So coiffed.
These three different philosophies, different mindsets when it comes to mentoring people. And so I didn't really know who I was going to get. But anyways, saying yes to the show has been an amazing and no regrets. This has been an amazing decision that my wife actually pushed me to do. I also said no to this, and she was like, "Just do it. You have the opportunity, you have the time." And I was like, "We're going to be in Ireland. We're going to be in Dublin, Ireland." And she was like, "Ooh, just do it. What's the worst that can happen? One, I can embarrass myself on TV, but also I get to represent myself. I get to show my kids that and that you can do it." Someone who's been cooking restaurants and just been working their heart and passion out can show the world what they've learned, how to do it, the techniques, the composures, and how to just be yourself. Like, don't hold back. So my mantra going into the show was have fun, stay happy, and stay focused. And so that's really all I did. I put it all on the line. I showed a case my mindset, my creativity, the way I can problem solve, which is a huge plus to be on this show. You need to be able to problem solve.
You've obviously spent the last couple of years being in front of the camera, whether it is your social media, whether it's Hot Kitchen. You've been on the Burger Show. You've done a bunch of YouTube stuff with Josh Weissman and other creators. But this was like the first time in your career where you didn't really have any editorial say. Like, usually you get a chance to edit, or you can say, "Oh, let's not have that in there." This, I mean, they're taking, I don't even know how many hours of footage, and then taking all that and cramming it into one 40-minute segment, and you have no idea as you're watching it each week what clip from that interview are they going to take and put in there? Are they going to get that moment where I like slipped and spilled some stuff, or I burned this, whatever? Like, what was that like for you watching week to week, not knowing necessarily what was going to be shown?
I mean, yeah, I think the being on First Few Feeds, doing the YouTube and being in front of the camera and really just letting loose my personality really honed me to become who I was on this show. I opened up. I wasn't camera shy. I didn't have stage fright. But knowing that we filmed 10 to 12 hours to have it condensed and edited down and story told into 40 minutes of there's music in the background, zoom ins and focuses on things. I never knew what was going. I mean, I knew what was going around me. I knew what was going on around me, but I was focused on my dish, my plate, and trying to move, forward. So watching this week to week and seeing all the other chefs like curate their dish and seeing how they were portrayed and how I was portrayed, it was crazy to me. Watching it week to week, it was like, oh, I don't remember doing that. Like my dish was good, yeah, but I didn't remember it like being a top contender. I was just so focused on either did I win or did I not? Let's go to the next day, and building a relationship with my team. So Team Blaze was honestly the most composed out of the three this season. I personally think, no bias. We had a well-balanced team. Elise, Tim, Jared, Darian, myself,
the winner.
All of us worked well when it came to the team challenges, and we joked around. We were fluid. We made sure to communicate, and I think Richard Blaze was the leader of that, and he made sure we communicated. He made sure he was a support, and so that showcased on the show, which was amazing. I'm glad they didn't, edit that or kind of manipulate that. But just to see how reality TV works in a TV or in a cooking competition is honestly mind-boggling. And everyone's like, "Oh, would you ever do that again?" In a heartbeat, 100%. And I wouldn't change a thing. I would still cook my heart out. I would still be the jokester that I am. I would still be the team player. Be it Next Level Chef, 24 and 24, any Food Network show, Top Chef. I wouldn't mind now. Like, I'm in this space in my career where if the opportunity comes to me, I will take it, run with it, and put the mindset that maybe I will win. I plan on winning, but if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to beat myself up. If one of my favorite things to tell my kids is, if it's not going to affect you in 5 years, don't let it affect you for 5 minutes. Let's go to the next thing.
Well, you represented yourself very well, and I would love to see you on other shows. We'll talk about some of the successful dishes that you had, but I want to focus on that portrayal that you talked about and how it was so interesting to see how Fox shaped certain things. Because when my wife and I, we watch like all these cooking competition shows, and usually after about 3 or 4 episodes, we kind of establish like our person based off how successful people are being and how we just kind of like their vibes. We're like, all right, that's my guy for this season. Like, I'm rooting for him. And you were my guy, Christian. Like, it started off, I was already a fan of First We Feast. So as soon as you introduced yourself, I was like, oh, I've seen this guy. I know him. Like, this is awesome. And you were doing well. I really liked your personality. And then all of a sudden we got to the pasta episode. And I think you know exactly what I'm going to talk about here.
The noodle episode, yeah.
Yes, the noodle episode. And it just seemed totally different. Like you had a little bit more antagonistic vibe to you. Like Sarah and I were watching, we were just like, what happened to Christian? He seems like a different guy. And you put up a very what's the word I'm looking for? A very honest Instagram post after you were eliminated, kind of talking about not that episode specifically, but just your experience overall. I know that the editing on these shows can really frame something a certain way and make someone look really good or make someone look really bad. So I want to hear it straight from you. As you watched that noodle episode, did it feel like, what's the behind the scenes, I guess? How did you feel watching that?
No, definitely seeing that. I mean, even before doing that, even before watching that episode, before watching the whole season, like we other contestants and we'd talk to each other like, I wonder how we're going to be portrayed. Like, who's getting this at it? And we already knew, like, someone's getting a villain at it, right? And so, and watching the first, 10 episodes, I was like, oh, dude, I'm killing it. I'm fine, And then the noodle episode happens, and even the preview to the noodle episode, I was like, oh, dang. I don't remember it sounding like that. But I get it. There's got to be a little drama. And so I remember specifically the noodle dish is me and Connor playing tug of war with the pork belly. And I saw that, and I remember it, and I was like, yo, Connor, like, they're going to show our tug of war. They have to. It's drama. And then I saw the noodles, and he pulled that. I was like, all right, well, in front of me is hot dogs and duck. So I grabbed the duck, and I don't remember. Darian was like, I want the duck. And so he was over there by the cod. So I was like, okay, he'll grab that. So I grabbed the duck and I announced it. It was like, yo, I'm going to get the duck. And he was like, okay. But like seeing his reaction, I was like, oh, I don't remember him. Like, he looked like he wanted the cod. And so I was like, but like, I think seeing it and reliving that moment and the adrenaline, I don't really know what's going on except what's like in my apron, like things I need to make, things to do this. And like my experience at Nobu was Peruvian Japanese. And so when Connor said he's gonna make Taiwanese, I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna stick to Peruvian Japanese. And Jarian says, I'm gonna do Peruvian. I was like, oh, that's perfect, dude. Like, let's kill it. You're my teammate. Like, let's do it. Let me know if you need any help. He said he's never cooked Peruvian. I had offered, because I've worked in Peruvian restaurants, I have a lot of Peruvian experience. So then when I got my ingredients, I realized I don't have any Japanese ingredients. So I was like, all right, well, I got these ribbon noodles, which is very Taiwanese. So I'm going to make the Taiwanese Peruvian. And then it so happens to be like Darian and Connor's announced like, "Oh, here's what I plan on making." So I was like, I joke around all the time, and so I told Connor, I was like, "Oh, dude, this right here, I think I got it. Like, this is my niche. You know, the edit will snip it and snap whatever sounds like I'm talking schmack."
Uh-huh. Well, and that's the thing too. Like the way that they edited it was Darian is talking to like they have like the interview where Darian's talking about, okay, I want to make duck. Like that's my goal, like in this dish. You didn't know that. You didn't see that interview, but we saw it as viewers, and then they frame it like, oh, Christian came in and stole the duck right out of Darian's hands, and then he's making a Peruvian dish. Darian was going to make a Peruvian dish. Is Christian just copying him? And it's so interesting and honestly, like a little disheartening, I think, just to see the way that someone just in one episode was like almost like your personality was like reframed a little bit. I'm really glad to hear the behind the scenes on that because it did seem so odd where you were like, good dude, good dude, good dude, good dude, good dude, sabotage. And it was like, whoa, where did this come from?
No, for sure. I mean, I messaged Darian right after our episode. I was like, bro, did you not get the duck? And he was like, oh, dude, all good, all good. And I was like, I'm sorry. But we have relationships built with all the contestants. We have had trauma bonding with everybody, and it was amazing. I live next to him, like 30 minutes away, so we like to do a lot of content together. But to see that, I was just like, man. And then also, I think before you get on the show, you have to have thick skin, and there's that whole interview process before you even get onto the plane to go film. Is like, do you read your comments? I was like, yeah, dude, I read all my comments. I respond to everybody. Like, I'm not just the person who just ignores it or has AI respond. Like, I'm like, yo, yeah, I enjoy talk to everyone. But then after that episode, like the comments were coming in. I was like, whoa, all right. I expect it. They're like, don't go to Reddit. And I was like, see, now I want to go to Reddit. And so I go in there. I was like, oh, whoa, there's a good amount of people who don't like that I took the duck. And so, or that they don't like that I took the chicken from Danielle's hand. And I think what people don't see or don't know is like just the day that we have, that 10 to 12 hours of kind of just getting ready mentally to cook, getting to know the contestants. And then I am that class clown vibe, and so once I get close to people, like we mess around, and so those people that it looks like it seemed like I bullied or I picked on, those were some of the closest people I've been on with the show. Danielle, Andy, like Darian's cool. Like I helped him out, he helps me out. So I think Fox was like, all right, this is cool. He's a jokester. Let's play that a little bit, So when I say something that's like, oh, who knows? Maybe my duck is better. And just boom, snippet that.
Yeah. And I mean, when you take the context away, it doesn't sound like, you could just be making an offhanded joke, but you take that context away and you take a, 45-second quote and just put it down to like those 8 words or whatever. Yeah. Then it sounds totally different. So thank you for shedding a little light on that. I want to go on the opposite end now. That was kind of the negative side of the experience. I want to talk about the positive because you made a lot of really good dishes on this season. And I know there was one in particular that stood out. You made a gochujang pork taco inside a cactus tortilla that Gordon Ramsay called the perfect taco. This is the first time, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first time in your career where, not at a restaurant or anything, but you are being publicly judged by people right in front of you. What was that experience like?
I think you kind of see it, and I have this thing called like resting guilty face, like not a resting guilty face, where I wear my emotions. I'll raise an eyebrow. I'll make faces, and they tell you like try not to react. But it's just like I'll like listen to criticism. I'm like, oh shoot, like you liked that? It's like a little bit of that imposter syndrome. It's like, I spent the last 30 minutes making a crazy dish, right? Whatever. And then they're going to eat it. I was like, oh, shoot, I forgot. They're judging it. And it's like, I got to remind myself, like, I'm not making this just for me. I'm making it for 3 mentors that are like prestigious. Their palate is outstanding. They've seen the techniques and they want to know what goes into it. So I was like, oh shoot, I gotta like hone in and focus a little bit more. And before I even did that, like that taco challenge that I won, I think set the bar for me. It's like, all right, well then I need to just keep going. I need to make sure all my flavors hit perfect spice notes, find the balance. And those times you see me missing some notes, you probably like there's probably moments where I'm missing an ingredient, and you saw me stress out with Chef Blaze, and I have just fish and mushrooms, and he's like, "That's it, dude." And I'm like, you know what? That is all I need. I envisioned this broth. I'm gonna make this broth, and he comes in and was like, "Let's make it two ways." I was like, "Perfect, dude." Like now you gave me that idea. I'm just gonna execute it, and it was a top contender. So things like that. If I can, if anyone's ever in a position to take this opportunity and be on a show, take constructive criticism. Don't fight back. Don't bite back. Absorb it. Learn from it. Take a step. Take a breath, and then move on. Again, don't let it affect you for 5 minutes. Just absorb what you need to and filter out what you don't.
I don't know how much time you really got to spend around or with Gordon Ramsay. I don't know if they completely separate you guys once the cameras turn off. You obviously weren't on Gordon's team, but I mean, this guy is, when you talk about food celebrities, he is in the top 5, probably most famous people in the world. What is your impression of Gordon Ramsay coming out of this experience?
I mean, I think it was one of those core memories. The first moment, so they want our genuine reactions to meeting these mentors. So we come out of the corner, and it's one. I'm somewhat used to like lights and cameras because of First We Feast, but just the light was hitting them at a direction, and it was like, there he goes. And I was like, oh, that's like one. He's taller than I imagined. I think his hair rivals Richard Blaze's hair, and Aisha's smile is just like it shines in the whole room. So these three different personalities meeting them, but like Gordon Ramsay shaking his hands, giving him a hug, dapping him up, having him circle around me, and I almost wanted him to micromanage me, but also be like, all right, never mind. Just I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what to expect, but it exceeded all expectations.
What is your main takeaway from this competition? What did you learn about cooking, and what did you learn about yourself?
That is one of my favorite questions for this, because I wanted to go into this in the mindset of like, I'm not going to go in there, just win and then go on. Like I wanted to learn. I wanted to find myself a little bit with this. I wanted to see what boundaries I could push, what things in my brain I could turn it off and on and switch and adjust. There's a show with Chris Hemsworth, where he realized he has a strain of Alzheimer's, and to fight it, he has to learn something and try to absorb it and quickly twitch his brain. And to me, that's what I wanted to do here. So I learned the most important thing that stands out to me is pause with purpose. Sometimes I'm over grabbing. I've grabbed too many ingredients and I'm putting too much. I can make things taste great. I found that out. But does it all have to be in the plate? And so I was humbled and reminded that like maybe just take a step back, breathe, look at it, gather your thoughts, and filter it out, because you don't need everything all at once. You only need the top, sometimes like that. I mean, it was, I think, the competition within the competition. The first dish I made on the top floor was a veal cutlet, truffles, broth, the rice. It was just a lot. I had a Filipino element because I wanted to add a Filipino element. And Gordon Ramsay said, I don't know if it aired, but he said, I wish I had a handcuff in one of your hands, because you're like a kid at a candy store. You put too many things. You could cook with one hand. I took that as a compliment, and also like as a lesson, like, slow down. So the next challenge on the middle level, I made a chicken with like a grits and like a seared squash and some like healthy greens. And I really took like an 18 ingredient mindset into a 4 ingredient mindset and honed on each ingredient, made sure they worked really well. So I think that's one of the best things I learned is pause with purpose, take a step, and reassess. And that's with life,
Yeah, editing is such an important part of these shows. I'm curious on this for you. It's amazing the recall that you have, being able to recall those dishes and what order you made them in, because this thing and you know it way deeper than I do, but it's a freaking whirlwind. I mean, you have 30 minutes. There's this platform that drops. You have 30 seconds to go get as many ingredients as you can, and then you got to run back to your station. You've got Richard yelling at you because you didn't grab enough ingredients. He's trying to tell you what to do. You got cameramen swarming all around you, and you have to cook a dish. Like, you have to, yeah, basically play Chopped, like you said, except it's more difficult because it's more physical. Like, when you finish a dish, do you I've seen in some cooking competitions, like, the chef will, like, walk off the stage and they'll be like, I just blacked out, I barely even know what I made. It sounds like you have a pretty good recall, but did you have that same experience?
So I see where that, like, where those chefs, like, you black out. It's more so like you're in the zone, right?
Right.
And I think what I was saying was, like, when I want to twist that something in my brain, I was hyper focused as soon as, like, I wanted to memorize each of the recipes. One, to remake eventually for content, but also, like, I wanted to know what I put in there and memorizing. Why did I do it? Like, rethink, like, why did I think that would work? Or you know, why was the reason I did that? But one thing to kind of talk about is there wasn't that many cameramen around.
Oh, really?
So there's windows that you can't see, and there's, like, I feel like hundreds of cameras that will zoom in on your face. So that was very nice that there's only space for 8, like, at max 8 chefs in that kitchen. So if there's cameramen in there, I would be a little tight. But I think having the chef mindset of tasting as you go, instead of just making things and hoping for the best that the mentors will like it, you got to taste each element and then eventually taste everything together, because that's what they're going to taste. So I think focusing on making sure your dish is proper, and then memorizing. One of my favorite things is, as you get older, your memory is shot, but I want to just continue to memorize everything. So I exercise, like, the memory thing, and I try to organize myself in the line space that I have. So before I plate, I have everything in order, because I worked in hotels where the first thing I learned was 5 P's, right? Proper preparation prevents piss performance. So always set yourself up for success. Your mise en place defines you. So if your station's a mess, your mind's a mess.
What was your opinion on cooking competition shows coming into this, and how has this experience altered that view? If it has, maybe it hasn't.
Hold on. Going into this, I always thought, because I've never done, like, camera shows, like TV, like live things where you're in the moment. I've always done things where it's, like, scheduled, you have a run of show, you have a recipe developed, and everything like that. But going into this, I thought, like, oh, okay, cool. They said we have 30 seconds to grab, but we'll probably have, like, a minute, right? They say we have 30 minutes to cook. We probably have, like, 45 an hour just to kind of, they're going to edit it up. No. 30 seconds was 30 seconds. 30 minutes was 30 minutes. It was intense. It flashes before your eyes. And when they say you black out, it's more so like you're driving and you're all of a sudden you're from work and you're in your garage. You don't remember the route, but you got there. You know what I mean? But it's muscle memory. That's why you got there. And so me cooking, me cutting, me putting everything together was muscle memory. And then once they say hands up or time's up, I just take, like, a mental snapshot of my station. It's like, whoa, okay. All right, what do I need to adjust for the next cook, and stuff like that. So going into looking at cooking competitions in general now after this experience, it's more so, what else can I do? Like, I like the itch, just like getting a tattoo, like, I want to do it again. And then versus, like, before the show, like, oh, okay, cool, I could do that. No, I can't, and I want to do that. I want to learn how to do that. I want to be in those positions where I need to problem solve that fast. I want to pivot.
If you could, you said you want to compete again. Yeah. If you could have your choice of any cooking competition show to compete on right now, what would you choose?
I think one of the most iconic cooking competitions is Top Chef.
Right.
I have to experience that now that I've got a taste of the adrenaline on cooking competitions. I think they set the bar on a specific cooking competition, and Next Level Chef kind of, like, with the name Next Level, like, it's just a competition where you don't expect things to happen. But in Top Chef, it's more so one of those things where I feel like I can thrive and focus and put things together and bring in my casual or fine dining experience into the those judges. Kristen Kish, Tom Colicchio, like they kind of put. What season are they on right now? I don't even know.
I think they just finished up 23.
What was that?
I think they just finished up 23.
Yeah, it's not. It's crazy to see. I mean, I would say in the restaurant or cooking shows, I would be like, all right, there's Next Level Chef, Top Chef, and I think something where I can thrive and practice my adrenaline would be 24 and 24. 24 chefs, 24 challenge. I feel like that'd be insane. Previous Next Level Chef contestants have competed, Chef Christina, and I think another show would be. I mean, honestly, I saw this new concept called Chopped Castaways. That looks fun. Like doing the chop vibe on a remote island. Sign me up. I love these concepts, these new ideas with cooking shows, but to be able to incorporate creativity, sign me up. If I could put food together, build a fire, I'm there.
Well, I, for one, hope that we get to continue to see you compete because it was fun to see you on this show. And I'd love to see that creativity just continue to flower. Before we move on, is there anything else about this experience, about cooking and competitions, anything that you want to pull back the curtain and be like, hey, this is something you didn't see on camera, but it's important that you understand about my experience?
Okay. With Next Level Chef, I think what's really important is you got to realize that it is TV and things can get manipulated, and I have no regrets. And I mean, minus me pulling my calf, that's out of my control. I was just doing my little joke. I do that with my kids all the time. So it happens. Well, now, worst timing. Anyways, I think a message to anyone watching any of these cooking competitions is I appreciate how invested everyone is on the show, and it shows that the casting directors, the welfare team, the producers are really good at their job, and the contestants are well taken care of. Our mental health is into consideration. Our physical health is into consideration. It takes a village to make an amazing show like Next Level Chef, and I appreciate every single person that I've made contact with, that I've had a conversation with, that taught me Irish in Ireland, that made sure I went on a walk because I needed to fume out a little bit, and they are, what's the word, underappreciated maybe. Like, it doesn't take 15 cameramen to make an amazing show. There is ample amount of support and producers and storytellers that need the love, that get the love, that deserve the love, because without them, these shows would flop. These shows wouldn't exist. They tell you right when you get there, you're going to be you're already a part of the Next Level Chef family. Like, moving forward, you're going to grow, and we want to make sure everything you do is an amazing thing. We never want to make you look bad. and if there's any adjustments, it's because if anything, it's going to help you grow. And I'm definitely grown from this experience, and I would do, like I said, I would do it again, and I would love to work with the same team, the chefs, the culinary team, everyone that touched this series, this season, chef's kiss.
There are so many things I still want to talk with you about. I want to talk about you getting yelled at for cutting chives at Nobu. I want to talk about Alvin Killane and your start on the burger show. Like, there's so much. We're running low on time, so I have to abandon parts of my outline, unfortunately. Maybe there'll be a return episode for Christian. We'll see. But there are two more topics that I'm very curious on that I have to ask you about. First, you've done a series of videos with Joshua Weissman where you've tried every fast food burger in America, every fried chicken in America, every fast food pizza in America, and you guys rank them all and then declare a winner. Obviously, that's not all happening in one day, but that's still trying a lot of not great food, not bad necessarily, but you're trying 20 burgers in a span of however long it is. That's a lot. What was your response when he came to you with that idea, and what are those like filling those videos? What is that like?
So I met Josh filming an episode of the Burger Show, and we kind of clicked there. I loved his personality. He loved mine, my work ethic, his work ethic, and he reached out before I even moved to Austin. He was like, "Yo, I'm going to film this thing where we're just going to taste fast food." And we started off with the most iconic McDonald's in Southern California, or the oldest one, and we were like, okay, we didn't really have a standard, like, all right, we're just going to try it and rate it. We didn't know what we were going against, but we had a list of fast food burgers that we were going to try. And it, one was a struggle. I don't know if it showed how much we were struggling. We were getting tired. I think we knocked it out in 2 days.
Oh my gosh.
Sounds like we would knock it out in longer, but time is of the essence, and we knocked it out. We tried the burgers. And then that first episode, we finished it with us like making the ultimate burger, and it did well. But I think we were like, let's just focus on just trying the food and ranking them. And I think was an amazing concept. I love it. I love fast food. There was a moment where I think we didn't communicate, and he got shredded, and I didn't get the memo, and I just stayed thick. So I was like, all right, well, I got to keep on pod. You know, we're going to do that. Yeah. So, but now I am focused on my health. And when it comes to those videos, I'm more focused on not eating the whole sandwich, taking a few bites and, we're giving it to people who are in need. And I have a family of 5 coming, so I got to make sure I live long enough to hang out with everyone.
Okay, so your winners on those 3 videos, Steak and Shake was the best fast food burger, Jollibee best fried chicken, and Marco's best pizza. Now, these videos, they've been produced and created over the last couple of years. Like the burger one, for instance, was 2 years ago. Do those opinions still hold strong now, or have any of them shifted?
I mean, based off you telling me those tops, I immediately remembered the moment those won. Like, taking a bite of Steak and Shake, it wasn't the last burger we tried, but it was the most memorable. The Maillard, the person cooking it, was like this old man who didn't look like he cared, but he was there smashing burgers, perfectly toasted buns, meat cheese ratio. Everything was amazing about that. That still stands. Have I been there since? Yes. Was it just as good? Yes. Marco's Pizza. I don't see them often, but there's a few in Texas, and we had it, and the pepperoni ratio to not like your average artisan pizza, but this is like those fast food pizzas, right? Was the most enjoyable moment where it's like, oh, like I used to love Costco pizza religiously, like it was easy peasy, right? Who doesn't? But this one was like Costco pizza on steroids. It was like extra pepperoni. The cheese wasn't overly cheesy and just poured everywhere. It was like pepperoni, cheese, and crust all hit. That's why we gave it that S tier. And Jollibee, not biased to the Filipino community, has the best spicy fried chicken in any fast food joint. And it's not just me and Josh who say it. There's articles on it. The people have voted on it. I think it was like USA Today or something like that. And we tried it, and it was just as good as I remembered having it like when I lived in LA. But the thing is, the Jollibee in the US apparently is better than the Jollibee in the Philippines. I haven't had Jollibee in the Philippines, so I think I need to go try it. Maybe Josh and I should go to the Philippines and try fast food in the Philippines.
Would 100% watch that video. Last thing I got to ask you about is I'm doing my research for this conversation, and I'm going through your social media, and all of a sudden I come across this thing called Bastos Sauce. And I go to the Bastos page, and I'm looking at it, I'm just like, this looks incredible. I want this. I want to put this on like all my food right now. So for the people, what is Bastos Sauce, and when or how can we get our hands on it?
So Bastos Sauce is something I created in 2014 as a sous chef in a hotel, and it was inspired by ahi verde sauce at Nobu and a salsa verde working with Roy Choi. And so we wanted to come up with this green sauce, and I made it, and it was great. We put it on pretty much everything. We had it as a base for a ranch. We had it as a dressing, and then just a regular sauce for tacos. Fast forward to 2020, during the pandemic, I learned how to smoke beef ribs. And instead of making barbecue sauce, my wife was like, "Why don't you make that green sauce that you made?" And at the time, I had called it like Boo Boo sauce, right? Just because it was like a funny name. And at the time, also, we had a thing called Bastos barbecue. And Bastos is a term, not a term of endearment in the Philippines, but it's like, rude, nasty, like mischievous, and like a rule breaker, rebellious. There's so many ways to describe the word Bastos, but we call it Bastos barbecue. I stopped smoking meat and I just focused on the sauce, and we were like, let's rename the sauce Bastos barbecue. So now, until 2026, we're working on manufacturing it. We're rebranding the logo, and we are trying to get it shipped, to anyone. We want to be the new all-purpose sauce. When people try it, I tell them it's a mild, herb-forward, all-purpose sauce with jalapenos, basil, cilantro, shallots, and garlic, and a little bit of aromatics. I will be shipping you one. Please give me your address so you can try and put it on everything. But yeah, please look out for Bastos Sauce, or follow the Bastos page for any updates at Certified Bastos, because everything needs a little Bastos in life. Nothing should be taken seriously. Like I said, I joke around Bastos. I always, I'm a jokester. There's a word in the Ilocano language called sutil, which is to tease. And I always sutil my kids. I always, I go around catching people with this, and just that's just the vibe I have. And the sauce adds a little to everything you put. It's great for breakfast tacos, barbecue, seafood, salads. Yeah, that's the spiel. It's the new all-purpose sauce. I want to be on everyone's shelves. I want to be in everyone's kitchens.
I literally cannot wait to try it. It looks so delicious. My only concern is that I'm going to get addicted to it, and I'm just going to be ordering 18 bottles, and my wife is going to be like, we have no kitchen space for this, you moron. But sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying, someone made a sandwich with it, and he put it with mayo, and then it was making a spicy mayo, and I was like, everyone's used to spicy mayo being pink with sriracha and mayo, but I was like, yeah, that's genius. Like, why not have a light green spicy mayo?
Yes. Oh, I'm here for it. Well, Christian, I've taken enough of your time today. Thank you so much for coming on, for talking about Filipino food, for talking about your culture and how it impacts who you are, for taking us behind the scenes at Next Level Chef. Congratulations so much on the new little one who's coming. Pray that you guys have a very successful delivery and everybody's safe and healthy. Christian, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you taking the time today, man.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. And let's shout out to Josh for getting us to do this together.
Josh Fu, you are the man. Omaha, as always, thanks for eating with us.